Okay, that's allowed us to hit Tiny Town. Our population's up to 1,100, and this unlocks a lot of stuff. So I'll probably begin to work through Tiny Town with you now, and then I'll break into a second episode to go over things, maybe little topical ones for some of this stuff that aren't part of the general building up of the town level by level. So we've got parks. That's a nice place for people to visit. They increase the value of an area and the beauty of an area, so people like to live in there. We've got industrial areas, which is the DLC version of how to specialize industry, so I will go over how those differ from the other industry specializations you've got, because that's a thing I see lots of people in videos and in general get confused about, that there are two flavors of specializations. There's 2 forestry, 2 agricultural, 2 mineral, 2 oil, one for the DLC and one for the regular ones. We've got landscaping, so this allows me to raise and lower terrain, dig holes, plant trees, things like that. Planting trees is actually very useful if you're going to have a forestry industry, because the trees you plant count towards an area being good for forestry, so you can artificially turn an area into being a good for forestry area or improve an area for forestry. We've unlocked fishing, which is another sea-based one, and again I'll do a separate video on the fishing industry because that's quite complex. I'd probably not add that right away because it's hard to start up lots of forms of industry all at once. You need the demand, and as you can see in the background, we have no demand for industry right now, so I'm not going to start building that out yet. We've got more policies, some park policies, some level 2 unique buildings, and I'll cover unique buildings separately. We've got a whole load of policies to do with mostly parks, whether you let pets in, how much recycling you do, if you do advertising, all kinds of stuff that will go on the different. And new roads, this is a big step up for us. We've got new types of roads, so we can build some larger roads to deal with the traffic and put things in place to manage the traffic better in the future. Mostly these are cosmetic variations of paths to do with the different parks we've got. Each type of park has its own type of path. Feel free to use other ones inside the parks. You don't have to just have nature reserve parts and nature reserves. You can use them elsewhere. Equally, you can use them outside of parks if you like the way they look. They work as regular paths. And for theming, we have industry roads. It's for theming, and they're slightly cheaper. They allow trucks to move along them at regular road speed, but they are noisier than regular roads. So you don't want them in the rest of your city, but in very noisy areas, such as industry areas, you are safe enough to have them because it's already going to be loud. Canals come along with part of the landscaping, so this would allow us to dig stuff and put in canals if we needed to connect 2 bits of water or whatever else you'd use canals for. You also get keys, so you can build fancy edges along waterways, where I've just built up to them at the moment. We could do something with that. And flood walls, so that when you're dealing with natural disasters or want to keep water out of areas, you can make little raised spots. We've got lots of fences, again to do with our parks mostly. We have a bunch of new buildings. Some of these are ones you can all place, just general parks, playgrounds, plazas to make areas pretty and give people places to go to relax and unwind. They make areas worth more money, they make areas more beautiful, so they're worth doing. And we have new steps up in our education. High schools. Again, if you're used to the American or international system, you'll know what a high school is. It's the thing that comes after elementary. For the UK system, this is secondary and college schools, so up to 6th form, I think. Public libraries provide a boost to your education system, so if you can put them somewhere with 2 or 3 schools or universities underneath their area, they'll all get a buff. And they also mean that people in the area randomly will educate themselves and improve, which is helpful for that purpose. Lots more, a few more education buildings, some park related buildings, some piers, biomes, fish markets to do with the fishing industry and fish harbours, but I'll go over that separately. And we've started to unlock unique buildings. Unique buildings are, as they say, unique. You get 1 of them per city, and they do various things. Chirrupek's launch site, so fittingly enough, the guy that runs Chirpy, the Twitter in this universe, has got a way of launching satellites into space, and just like in our world, how the guy who launches satellite into space now has a version of Chirpy. Winter market. It's a winter market. You put it down, it glows, it's got lots of fancy stalls, people go there and visit it. Boat museums. If you've built boats, then people can go see boats in a museum. They exist in real life. Traffic park. A fun little way to teach people about driving, I guess. But I haven't unlocked that. So these buildings you need to unlock. And you can see here that I need to have 5,500 weekly passengers on public transport. Well, you've watched through. I have no public transport yet. We've probably only just unlocked it, if we've even unlocked it at all. So we've got no buses, we have no trains, we have no trams, we have no anything of that sort. So that's a future thing. And a locomotive hall, where we all like classic steam, and although you begin after the steam age in City Skylines, there's no reason why you can't import some to your city and pretend like you used to have old locomotives, or indeed modern locomotives that are phased out of service or people find interesting. We'll go see them there. No monuments, not high enough level, no achievements. That's what we've unlocked. Oh, and my sewage and water is too low, so let's go in here. Now I'm going to have to start raising the budget of the sewage and the water. And hopefully that increase in finance is enough that... Oh yes, loads of sewage and water treatment now. So we can let this run for a bit, see how it goes. So let's see if we can make use of some of the things we just unlocked. Now the main thing we unlocked are some education. So we can check that our elementary school coverage is still good. We've nearly filled our only school, so maybe we want to build another one, and we can see that down this end coverage is not ideal. We know that we've got a public library that we could put in. Now we might have to get rid of some existing stuff. When we place it, we can think about it will boost education buildings we've got. We can see that we've got our school there, so if we're careful about putting our public library down, you can see that the school covers in that district. It's not worth having public library over here if we're not going to have residential particularly, but we may expand residential that way, so perhaps down here, I think. I'll put it up there. Put it on the end. It face that way around, or it could face that way around. Let's put it there and see how that does. Now those are quite expensive, but you can see it's given a boost to an area, and it will put the property values up a little bit, which may help with the levelling of these buildings. We also need secondary education, but you can see that I can't afford right now to build these buildings. High schools cost 24,000 and I haven't got that much. Fishing industry now. And the alternative to a high school is a creative arts centre, but that costs 30,000. I just don't have enough money. We'll leave that for now. I can build some more elementary schools, or since I already have one of those, I think I'll put a community school in down here to cover this area, so that can go in right next to the library. I think that makes sense. And so now more elementary level education will be available to the city. You see our capacity is greatly increased, which is good, and the coverage is good. Now education is something that happens over time, just like in real life. Just by building a school next to people doesn't mean the 50-year-olds that are there have suddenly been through the school. You have to ease people through the education system over time. So children will go to elementary school and become educated if there's stuff available. At the moment no one is educated. These children, as they grow up, should become at least educated because they will go to the elementary school. If I was to build the high school, they would become well educated as they become teens, and young adults would go to university to become highly educated. Now not everyone does, and you've got policies which nudge people one way or the other, just like in real life. All sorts of people do all sorts of things. But also, like real life, not many adults go back to elementary school, so these uneducated adults I've got will remain uneducated. That's not a problem, and you kind of need a mix of people in the city because your industries need uneducated workers as well as educated workers. Lots and lots of jobs in Skylines, just like in real life, require uneducated workers. Especially early on in the games, as things haven't leveled up, you get more basic jobs without skills. As you get through the game and as these buildings level up, they will upgrade themselves and demand fewer uneducated workers and some educated and well-educated workers. In general, as the level of the industry goes up, the total number of workers in it increases slightly, but not dramatically, as it tends to be that you get fewer more skilled people doing the jobs. It's just how your industry levels go. If we look over here in our forestry area, we've got some nice forestry stuff. Weirdly enough, the people who work chopping down trees all day do not need to be highly educated in Skylines. All going well. Our industry's grown quite nicely. You can see it is very forestry focused. There's lots and lots of planks for life, and other planks for life, fine furniture, different looking planks for life. Forestry Friends Limited, a nice little field. Various things growing up around here. And again, if there's any buildings you particularly like, I quite like having these two next to each other. I might make this one historic and this one historic so that we'll always get that visual of those two things there. And if I wanted, I could probably make this out behind it historic, so there'll always be something that looks like a load of trees behind this. Let's do that just to set that in place. So we have zoned in a bit more stuff here, and this will be leveling up. The next thing I want to do is look at adding some parks, because people like living near parks. You've got various levels of parks and playgrounds. We've got an elementary school here, so it might be nice to give the kids a playground next door. So let's have a look at which one of those we've got. Small playground that can go in right next to that, I think. If I zoom out, you can see the area of effect of this. So it'll cover quite a large area. Maybe put it over the road. Kids can look out wishing they were in the park. Yeah, let's do that. You've also got parks with trees. They're quite big. There's dog parks. They're quite nice because they're relatively small and have quite a good area. If I put this in, that would give everyone around here somewhere to go walk their dogs. Let's pop that there. Big area of smiley faces here, and then after it's had a while to sim in, you'll start to see those colours turning to a more happy shade as they've got good coverage from their dog parks. And let's think about putting a small park in over this side for our industry, because everyone likes to leave work for a bit and go see something nice. Let's put it slightly up this way so that it's more towards the forestry. Then when you're on your lunch break or something, perhaps the people from industry here can come out and go walk around a park. Fits in kind of well. It's the wrong sort of trees because I don't think you can change the way these parks look unless you get a mod or download some assets. And then I'm sure you could have ones that have trees matching the area you're in, but people don't mind, and parks are artificial anyway. So. One other thing while I'm putting down parks to mention is that you can connect paths to them. So if we go into our landscaping tab that we unlocked, there is a paths option, and you can pick from any of the types of paths you have unlocked, and you'll see that there are nodes around parks that you can clip into. So I'll get the path that looks like dirt because I think it's most like this path, and you can sometimes clip into bits of it. You can extend off the side and put a path down there, say, and it makes it look like this is sort of part of the path. You've probably also got ones with lights and decorations, and just as with roads, you can choose to upgrade things. So maybe I'll upgrade this path. Oh, no, can't. Doesn't like me upgrading that bit. That's odd. Like I said, sometimes you have to destroy things and put it back in. So let's try a nature reserve park here. Let me connect in. No, it's not happy about that at all. Try the other way around then. Let's try from there to there, and then... No. Doesn't like it. Sometimes with paths, it's better to go close to somewhere. It'll connect if you're lucky. That might be connected. See if this person walks across it. Oh, no, they've dived off. Connections on small scales are fiddly. Let's go from, say, here to there. That's definitely connected. And now if I go on to freeform and turn off all the snapping, I need to start on that one. But I can sneak this round and then it will connect quite happily. Or I can also try and bring it down to here and it will connect a bit further back. I'm happy with it going around that corner. That seems to have integrated it nicely. Now you can see I sort of extended the park outside with this, not exactly the same, but sort of themed. And we get on to the bit where you can spend an awful lot of time in Skylines, which is that you get decorations now, so we can start stamping down some plants. You can skim through and pick some new trees. That green tree probably looks a bit like the park ones. Let's stick a couple of those around there to make them look similar. If you want to rotate trees, you can do. That looks like the same tree, so we could put what we've got naturally occurring on the end. So once you unlock decorations, you can go crazy with them in City Skylines. It lets you start beautifying areas. That's why I leave some of these spaces, because these natural trees, I can add more natural trees. And trees are actually beneficial because as we go along, you start to generate more noise. And if we go into this tab, there'll be something about noise pollution. Yep, there we go. So there's noise pollution. If we turn this on, you can see the industrial area is really loud, the roads are quite loud, this commercial strip is quite loud and then spilling over into here. But the residential bits tend to be quite quiet. And if you've got the money to spare, you can plant trees and bushes and they act as a barrier to the noise. So we'll see how this affects it in a second. Go to landscaping, go to the trees that were allowed, and let's put a load of these trees in here. I don't have a mod, so I can't spam these out as quickly as some people you'll see, where you can get mods to put lines of trees and brushes of trees that fill an area randomly. But I can put some in by hand. And now if we look at the noise pollution tab, or even we can have it open while I do it, hopefully we'll see that the noise pollution in this area will reduce because the trees will screen it. Sometimes you need to mix the trees up a bit and put some bushes and shrubs in, because obviously noise comes at all different levels. And you can put fences in and those sometimes help a bit as well. See that? Maybe that'll help reduce the noise in that area a bit. Same's true around here. I might get a bunch of oaks and put some oaks around this area to try and screen this off. A few around this bit. And there you can see this area retreated slightly. The line went back just then. So it started to pull back the noise a little bit. I got a feeling that the type of tree you use also affects it. So like these beech trees that have got lots of leaves and are a bit bigger, possibly soak up a bit more noise than the palm trees that are bare stalks. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Anyway, it's something to consider. If you put in lines of trees or avenues of trees, you can make things that look pretty. Maybe mixing the trees doesn't look so nice there, but it helps soak up some of the noise, and it increases the value of an area as well. So areas that are noisy and industrial tend to be quite cheap. Areas that are pretty because they've got lots of trees and are near to parks and good facilities are more expensive, and buildings in more expensive areas generally will level up faster and people will be happier because it tends to mean there's somewhere with nice stuff around. Covered a bit more expansion. We started our specialised industry. We don't need any more industry yet. Demands are met, but we need to start levelling up the residential area, which I shall do in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this content, please give the video a like. If you've got any comments of things you'd like to see or for me to do differently, please post them below the video. And if you could subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know when I post new videos, that'll be good. It all helps me see what you want to see and spread these videos around so other people see them more. and I shall see you in the next video, when we will concentrate on some of the other stuff we had unlocked in the most recent milestone.